It's the Daily Dog.
Hey y'all, what's going on? Welcome back to the Daily Doug. Thanks for hanging out with me today. This is a special occasion, or a momentous occasion, I should say, because today is the first time that I will be responding and reacting to a song by Yes. And I'm eager to do this. I'm also a little intimidated to do this. A bunch of people have requested that I do some songs by Yes, and I know the band relatively well. I mean, how can you not, right? They're unbelievable and incredibly long and great career as a band and unbelievable catalog. A bunch of folks asked for like Close to the Edge. I know that song, and quite frankly, Close to the Edge is going to be a very difficult song for me to do a reaction kind of like the ones that I normally do because there's just so much in it. But maybe we'll get to that at some point down the line. But about a week ago, I got an email from a guy named Steve who, on behalf of himself and his friends, said, hey, if you're going to do a Yes song, you probably are getting requests for all of them, like the big songs from their catalog. But there's a song that they like that they asked me to do, and so because it was a special request and it was one that I had not heard before, that's the one that I decided to do today. And the song is called Machine Messiah. It is off of their 1980 album, and the other thing that I struggle with some of these older songs or like these big time bands is, do you pick the studio recording or do you pick a live recording? And it's a hard choice because personally for me, I'd rather see the musicians playing it live as long as it lives up to the original and it sounds and the sound quality is good. I know that that's a little bit tricky for a band like this that has had a rotating sort of roster of members over the years. But nevertheless, I have found, and I spot checked the sound on this, and I think it sounds pretty good. I have found a live recording of Yes from 2009 performing this song. And like I said, I spot checked it. I think it sounds pretty good. The sound quality sounds good. So that's the one that we're going to go with, for better or for worse. Yeah. So it's a long song. It's 11 minutes long. So let's get into it. I do have the lyrics pulled up so that I can kind of follow along with the lyrics, because when you have a title of a song called Machine Messiah, that perks my interest. So I want to see what they're talking about a little bit here. So let's do it. This is Yes from 2009, singing and performing Machine Messiah. Here we go. That's what my hair's going to look like soon, I think. Back to the drummer. Are you with me? Here he is. E minor. I guarantee you they're not going to stay there. That's cool. That's a cool effect. Up a step, an F sharp minor. It's just right up the scale. Up another half step. G minor now. Interesting. Those little... Oh, that's cool. Oh, cool. Okay, let me stop there and back up a little bit. One of the things that comes to mind. So, from what I can gather so far, as an intro. They're in E minor, and they've got this little bum, 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 ba, dee, da, dee, da, da, dum. I think that's how they did it. It's just scale motion. It's not anything crazy, but what they did with it was really interesting. They went from E to F sharp minor, E minor to F sharp minor to G minor, just using the 3 notes of that motive, right? So that's something that a composer might do, is we're using these this little lick, ba-da-da, 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 ba-da-da. That's like a motive. Think Beethoven's 5th Symphony, da-da-da-dum, right? And da-da-da-dum, and that little thing can get moved around every little place. Well, their little ba-da-da, 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 that can be moved around to different places. And that theme is just 3 notes, do, re, mi, right? And then when they move the keys from E to F sharp to G, it's a large scale version of the same do, re, mi, E to F sharp to G motion. So it's like a larger version of the same little ba-da-da, ba-da-da thing. That's a really cool thing. Let's see where they go from here. So it switches from E minor to E major. Sounds lovely.
Run down the street where the glass shows the summer has gone. Age in the doorways, resenting the pace of the dawn. All of us standing in line.
Compound meter. Messiah is born. Minor 4 chord. Back to E major.
Cables that carry the light to the cities we build. Threads that make diamonds of light to the satanic mills. Oh, to see it every way.
E, flat 7, 4. EDA. Sounds like a dominant prolongation. It's over B in the bass. And then up. Wow. Okay. Cool. The bass kind of moving up a little bit. And then that's a weird little progression. You hear the organ? I've heard that before. That's a real piece. Now I'm trying to think about. Sorry, I'm not listening. I'm trying to figure out what that piece is. That's a concert organ piece. I think that's Vidor, Widor. I think that's one of his symphonies. Where I taught for a long time, Westminster Choir College, we had a lot of organists, church organists, concert organists that went through there because it's one of the few places in the country that had a whole bunch of organs for people to practice on. And I would hear this type of repertoire occasionally. And yeah, that just reminds me of that piece. I think that's a real piece. I think that's from one of the Vidor symphonies. If I'm wrong, then shame on me. But that's where I think it's from. We're backing up a little bit.
Systems of escape to freedom, I need to be there. Waiting and watching, the tables are turning. I'm waiting and watching, I need to be there. I can't see them walk away.
Back to that E flat 7, 1 flat 7 and 4. can't figure out what the meter is. It's not quite 4/4. It's not quite. And I want to be the guy. I want to be the guy with the tambourine, just over there shaking his tambourine, nowhere near a mic. What tasteful and great guitar playing. Everybody's playing the same lick. Get it, guy. I'm just back there playing my tambourine like nobody's business. So a big solo section. Right down the scale. Back like the beginning. Cool. So we're back in E minor. E minor to A minor, those two chords. That's a neat sound. I wonder how they do that. Just over static E minors, crunching around there.
Machine Messiah, the mindless search for a higher controller. Take me to the fire and hold me. Show me the strength of your singular.
Nice. That's cool. Here's what that reminds me of. So they're talking about a metaphor, I think, for technology in general, but they're relating it back to like worship or worship of a deity, Messiah, right? The savior of us all. And that little section with the two parts, the two vocal parts, sounds ancient, doesn't it? It sounds like old. And I think the reason why it sounds that way is because it's based on ancient religious music. So we've all heard of chant, right? We understand that in the church, preachers, priests, whatever, would do chants. And in the old days, they would double chants. If you had more than one voice, you would double them either at the octave, but because they were men exclusively and didn't have that upper range, sometimes you can't do the whole octave, but you can do a fifth. And so you sing in parallel fifths. That sounded like parallel fourths. So there's this old school of music back in the 11th century, 12th century, like in the Middle Ages, and it was called organum. It was chant that was at these different, it's the same part, but they would parallel each other. And at the fourth, so they were all a fourth away from each other. And that's the old word, if I'm, gosh, it's been a long time since I taught this, but I think the word is the diatessaron, is the old word for organum at that interval. It's hearkening back to something ancient or based in worship or being a slave to a deity, that sort of thing. That's really cool. We're going to back up just a little bit and keep going. I'm enjoying this so far. This is a fascinating, fascinating piece of music.
Strength of your singular
Yeah, and they end on subtonic. That's just fucking cool. Fa sol on the marimba. Back like the beginning. That same little motive. It's like the wheels of time, right? Up. And they move it to different places, so that little motive can be moved all around. And because we know what that motive sounds like, moving it to weird places doesn't upset our ear because it's a familiar melody. There he goes with the tambourine again. I want to be that guy. Okay, this is interesting. Hang on a second. They're in G now. Pretty sure they're in G. Before, when they did this major section, they were in E. But now they're in G, which is a minor third away from where they were, but it's also the relative major of where E minor was, which is kind of what the piece feels like it's really based in. But yeah, so now they're in the relative major for this part, so cool. Let's see what this sounds. So it's going to be higher in the voice parts than it was before. Same Mixolydian sort of chord progression. The Hey Jude chord progression. G to F to C. Yeah. That same dominant extension they had before. Yeah, and they resolved it by half step again, just like they did before. They're just in a different key now. Really brilliant to use a little sequential pattern there just to modulate themselves back into their home key to get back to E minor. They were in E flat for a second, then went a couple different places, but now that it sounds like they're back in E. Wish the drums were mic'd a little better for this. Oh, they've got a portamento on the keyboard. That's cool. Marimba. What does portamento mean? Portamento is like if you're playing a violin, if you kind of slide up, or if you slide your finger along the fretboard. On a keyboard, you can set it where if I am playing this note and then I go to this note, it'll slide from one note to the other. That's what that is. It's a fun little thing to do. I'm backing up just a little bit. There's a marimba again.
Machine Messiah, take me into the
Messiah, take me into the fire.
Hold me, machine Messiah, and show me the strength of your singular.
Do they mean guns? Is that why he's playing his guitar like that? That's cool. Steve, I agree. That's a kick-ass song. Woo! Okay, so get rid of that. I need to pull up the lyrics again because wow, I'm just speechless. Like, there's a couple of songs. Like, I've listened to some Rush songs, and I get to the end of it, and I'm like, I don't know what to say about that. The part that really struck me lyrically, cables that carry the life to the cities we build, threads that link diamonds of life to the satanic mills. Ah, to see in every way that we feel it every day and know that maybe we'll change if we're offered the chance to finally unlearn our lessons and alter our stance. It strikes me similar in tone to kind of what I did a reaction to Disturbed's cover of Sound of Silence. It's like a warning to humanity, right? And I think that's what these guys are kind of getting into here. Or it's either like a warning to humanity or just encouraging us to, to learn, to improve, to be open to new ideas, to lift each other up instead of something that we plug in, or maybe they're wanting to worship that new plug-in. I don't. Help me out with the meaning here, guys. What's the undertone? There's a couple different ways I could take this. Machine Messiah, the mindless search for a higher controller. So are they calling people of faith mindless? Are they wanting us to move out into a more rational or evidence-based way of thinking instead of through dogma or faith or mythology, that sort of thing? And take me to the fire and hold me and show me the strength of your singular eye. That's one I need to listen to again. I should have had a beverage with this one. But I really, really enjoyed that. We will be doing more Yes on the channel in the coming days and months, hopefully. But I really enjoyed that one. So thanks to Steve and friends for emailing and suggesting that one. And for all of you that are suggesting all these songs, like I've said before, it's really overwhelming. There's a lot on the list. And if I have not replied to you directly, it's not because I don't like you and I like somebody else better. It's just kind of where it happens to hit me. So I am very appreciative of all of the interest. And what we're doing here, we're just listening to music. We're trying to dissect it, figure out what it means, and just have some community together. So thanks again for being with me, and we will see you next time on The Daily Doug.